Welcome to Everything Life and Financial Freedom. We are your hosts, Linda and Jim McKissack. If you know our story, you know that we went from over $600,000 in debt to having financial freedom. We share some of the insights and practical tips that we've learned over the last 30 years for achieving financial freedom, building wealth, and building an extraordinary life. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Linda.
Not like we don't see each other all the time.
I know.
But not in the podcast room.
That's true.
Usually I'm in here by myself. So happy to have someone with me. So we're going to talk today a little bit about a question that I get asked. Actually, I got asked this morning when I was consulting someone about financial freedom. And the question was, due to the market being so crazy right now, such a seller's market, should I wait and save my money or should I buy something? This person had some equity in their house, and should I pull out the equity and buy something with it? So let's kind of talk about that and share that with our audience today.
Depends would be my answer.
Okay.
And it depends on if you went and you found a great deal.
Yep.
I mean, last year we bought 8 houses in this market.
Uh-huh.
And so if you find great deals, and I think you buy in any market. We bought in every market since 1992.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also if you can't find a good deal, I think you need to save your money.
Yeah.
Start putting money away and start figuring out a system that you have to save money, to put money in a separate account that you would use for investing, that you don't play with, you don't do anything else with, but you use it for your investment funds.
Yeah. And just so the audience knows, Jim and I have been married 40 years in January, right?
Right.
Been married, lots of beautiful ups and downs.
Yeah.
And we don't always give you the same answer. Sometimes our answer will be different. Most of the time, because we've done so much of this, our answer will be the same. So I agree with you on this one. This is exactly what I said to her was, well, here's the deal. You always buy if it's a good deal. And what causes or justifies a good deal in this market is the D's, what we call the D's.
Mm-hmm.
Death, divorce, distress, or drugs. Unfortunately, people get caught up in those kind of things.
Everybody, if they have to sell or need to sell,
yeah,
you're trading time for money.
Yeah, and you get to be the hero for those people because those people have their life in such a place that they need to get rid of this property and trade it for cash so that they can make a life change, they can make a trajectory change, a course change in their life or whatever. And so again, what I said to her also that ties into what you just said is, I said, but at the same time, you can be saving money because there'll be, when the market shifts, as you say, not if, but when the market shifts, there'll be great deals and you'll want to have money for that. So the question she asked was, I have about $100,000 equity in my home. Should I pull that out? And my answer to her was, and I want to make sure you agree with this also, was sure, but don't get over leveraged in your home. And if you're in your peak earning years, which she is, and you know that because you never want to, when you're doing real estate investing for building financial freedom, you don't want to live off that money. You don't want to need that money. It's for building future passive income. And so don't get over leveraged in it. Pull out, our philosophy is 70-30 loan to value ratio. That's our model. And so would you have told her anything different? Because you weren't here when I had this conversation with her, but would you have said anything different on that part,
No,
whether she should refinance her house?
And no, not at all. I mean, it would have been exactly that same answer. Yeah. In this market, this is a market we've never seen before, and we've been in the business for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And so this market that we're seeing right now, I was reading an article right before our podcast from the Wall Street Journal, and it was talking about the affordability index.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And every time that we've had a so-called downturn in the real estate market,
mm-hmm.
it's been whenever the housing prices and the affordability index have gotten out of whack. And so we're way out of whack right now. We can't, continue to grow at 17 to 20% in values every year. Our volume is going up, but the number of transactions is going down and it's pushing way above the affordability index. And so as that happens, the number of transactions are going to slow up more. And we're kind of in that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, just from what I'm seeing and what the numbers are showing, I think we're moving into that market right now as we sit here.
Yeah, I agree. And, all the realtors that we're connected with all say the same thing. They're starting to have sellers ask them, why did my house not sell on the first day? And where's all my multiple offers? So you do feel a little bit of that. But again, I think once you're an investor, and this is the point I think you and I both are trying to make here, is once you're an investor, you're always an investor.
There's opportunities in every market.
Yeah. And I think you look for the good deals and you're ready for the good deals, whether it's this market or the other market, because like you've often said, Jimmy, we've never lost money on houses that we've held long enough, but we have lost on flips.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I think people listening and thinking the market's going to change. The one thing we can't do is we never know where the top of the market is, and you never know where the bottom is. So you can't live your life waiting to see if it's at the top or waiting to see if it's at the bottom, because you don't know where you are. You could be at the top, you could be at the bottom, you could be halfway in between.
Yeah, but you can always follow the indicators.
Right.
And, it may keep going up in value some, but it can't sustain the 17 to 20% rise in values every year.
Right. But on the flip side of that, if a good deal came along today, would you wait or would you buy it?
I'd buy it.
You'd buy it.
As
long as the numbers work.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a good deal the day you buy it.
It's not an appreciating deal. It's not a deal where you're betting on the appreciation. You need to go into a deal that's got to be solid. It's got a cash flow. And you've got to be really aware of what your rate of return is on the investment that you're making of your cash.
Right.
Because you're putting your money to work for you.
Right.
And that's how you build wealth.
Right. Well, and I think another question that people keep asking is, because the market is so hot, should I try to go somewhere else to buy in a market that's not quite, appreciating at the level my market is? And again, I think our advice would be what it would be for anybody. Pay attention to the market you're in, know the numbers, know the rental prices, run the numbers, and the numbers are what tell you to make the decision or not. You don't buy any of these on emotion or appreciation. Like you just said, you buy them because they're a good deal the minute you put the pencil to the paper.
Yeah. And I think that there's nothing wrong with going outside your market to buy, investment properties, as long as you've got good management there, you've got some people there, and you've done your analysis on the market itself there. Because, I remember one time in 2008, we had a lot of investors in Texas come from California.
Yeah.
And, California prices had really peaked out right about that time and stuff. And, a little small 3-bedroom, 2-bath house over there was $600,000 or $700,000. Well, they could come down here and they could buy 3 houses for that amount of money in Texas. And so they thought the market was really great. And so they came down, and this was whenever you could 100% finance the houses as an investor.
Yeah.
And so, they would come down there and invest their $600,000, and then all of a sudden their rents weren't quite comparable to what the rents were.
They were in a negative amortization.
Yeah. And as the market dropped 30% in 2009, they were upside down on their properties. And a lot of the houses we bought were those newer houses that were foreclosed on because, number one, they didn't have any money in it, and so they were speculating on having the appreciation game in Texas like it was in California.
Yeah. And that's why you don't ever buy on appreciation. Again, it's a good deal the day you buy it. And again, to reiterate, there's always the D's: drugs, divorce, death, and distress, that causes people need you to come in to be the hero and help them out of that situation. So if you're in a situation where you have the money to do it, or you have the ability to go borrow the money to do it, you can actually help somebody out in a tremendous way by getting them an opportunity to pivot and do something different and be out from under that, what could be a liability to them at that point, instead of an asset, because they need their time or their money back. Hello. Thank you for listening to the Everything Life and Financial Freedom podcast. For transcripts, resources, and more, visit the episode page on the podcast website at everythinglifeandfinancialfreedom.com. You can also download our Freedom Number worksheet. This worksheet will help you determine the amount of passive income you need to generate each year to sustain the lifestyle you have or the lifestyle you want when you no longer wish to work or simply want the freedom of your time and your money.
One area that I've seen really grow like crazy during this market is the nightly rental business. That business through the COVID and stuff like that, it's kind of really blew up.
Yeah. So that's one thing people can do in this market is shift your market of the moment opportunity a little bit if you want to. And I know we're going to talk about in more detail our vacation rentals in Branson, Missouri, and all of those kind of things. So again, back to the question of it's hot markets in most of the country right now. There's indicators, there's talk of it turning and going the other direction. Do I buy an investment property? And I think we both unanimously say, yes, we would, but it's going to have to follow a certain criteria. We're not going to buy it on emotion. We're not going to buy it on appreciation. You're going to have models and systems, which we spell out every one of our models and systems in the Hold book, Hold, How to Find, Buy, and Rent Houses to Build Wealth. So in the later episodes, we'll give you those models so that you have them handy. But I think, again, it's just using good common sense, having a criteria that you don't violate. And I think also, Jim, wouldn't you say we probably bought less in a year in this market? So your number may go down, the number you get to purchase. You may not find as many. Well, I guess it depends on how actively you're looking for the Ds, drugs, divorce, death, distress situations. If you're actively looking, there's a certain number out there, you're going to get a larger number, but you might not get as many, but you're going to get some, right?
Also, we've sold some properties in this market.
Yeah.
We had some properties that were minimal on their cash flows and stuff. We found out that, the expenses were a lot higher than what we anticipated. And even with rents going up, they weren't cash flowing enough to really give us a fair return on our investment. And, we maximized the money by selling in this market too. But, I wouldn't recommend, if you're going to build wealth, you don't want to sell, you want to hold.
Yeah. Well, and I get asked this all the time. It's because it is such a hot market and the appreciation has been what it is, people are tempted to flip. And I know we're going to talk in a future episode about the difference between flipping and holding, but I think, that's going to be a little more tempting for people. But we always say, look, what is your whole strategy? What is the number of houses you need to be free and clear someday to get what portion, either 100% of your freedom number or 50%, whatever amount you've decided that will contribute to your freedom number.
Remember, our goal is passive income.
Right.
And so you're thinking about income that comes to you, from one of three ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. So I think that leads us back to, this market is going to be less houses, but they're still there. We bought 8. So if we bought 8, somebody else can buy 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever. And there's always going to be the Ds. You're always going to looking for those distress situations. And you're going to make sure you have a solid criteria and you don't buy on emotion or based on appreciation. They're a good deal the day you buy it. Any other advice you'd give them about buying in this market?
I think you're going to have to spread your network out as wide as you can to find deals in this market. Also, I think this market's a good preparatory time. Like I said,
what does that mean?
That means prepare for the coming market. I think we have to look at today, we need to be playing in the market that's coming. And so whenever the market comes and everything goes up and everything goes down. And so as the market does come down, you've got to be prepared to really find when a deal comes up, you've got time works into it. So you've got to be able to react fast to it. And so you need to be prepared, either having enough money saved up, or if you've got some bad debt, if you got credit card debt or something like that, start working on trying to get rid of that now and figure out a pool of money or a bank account that you can put your money for investing in and start building on that today.
Love that. So if you don't, while you're either not finding deals or you're not ready to find deals, be preparing, learn, educate yourself, talk to your banker, put a business plan together, decide what your freedom number is.
An example would be you and I. For the last 3 years, we've really looked at banking a lot of money in preparation for, later on.
Yeah.
And for a different market. And we haven't found, enough really good investment properties to go spend our money on.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. So use it as a prep time, educate yourself, read as many books, obviously read our Hold book. And then another great book that you always recommend is Building Wealth One House at a Time.
Yeah.
And so, pick up some books, use this time to learn and educate, because when the market turns, well, first of all, good deals are good deals no matter what market it is, right? And there's always somebody sitting on the sideline ready to buy those deals. So what are you going to do for financing? Do you need to go get a partner? Do you have a banker that you've already sit down in a line of credit with? Those are things that you can be doing now to be prepared for when the market shifts. But again, I think if you listen to what we're saying, yes, we would buy in this market, even though the prices are higher than we've ever seen in our 30 something years, because we would run the numbers and it would be a good deal the day we bought it. We would not be betting on any appreciation because we're going to hold it long enough that it won't matter what, even if the market goes down. Because like even in the graph that I don't know if we put this in the whole book, but remember the graph that you always teach about how when a market goes down, it never
goes down to the bottom at all. In real estate, the stock market, it can go all the way away.
Yeah.
But in the real estate market, it goes down at a higher ceiling than it was before. It's kind of like the curve that goes up, then it comes down. And this is the new floor right here. Then it starts going up again. That's the reason you can, think about your parents whenever they bought their homes. What did they pay for them?
Right.
So what are those houses worth today?
Right. So you're saying that the floor, like even if it comes back down, it never goes.
It goes all the way down to the floor. Usually the most that you'll see a real estate market drop even in the 30s when the Great Depression happened, and even in 2008 is 30 to 35%.
Right.
And so it's appreciated for a longer term, and usually the booms are 10 to 15 years, and then the busts are usually 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. So love this kind of conversation, because I think of all the things lately we've been getting hit up and asked about when we teach wealth building, and when we do a class, or when we're consulting someone is what do I do with this market? Because it feels so expensive and so high. So,
well, it's a good time to really prepare for the next market. And there's a lot of preparatory in being an investor. And, a lot of it starts out in some of the basic books. Total Money Makeover talks about a family budget, and learn if you don't have a family budget, that would be a good way for the spouses to get together and work on a family budget. Putting away, come up with an automatic system for collecting money, what is the book? Profit First. Take the money off the top. Yeah. Instead of waiting and see what you have left.
Yeah. I have a great episode on my other podcast called Everything Life and Real Estate with Mike Melikowski. I probably said that completely wrong. He said, just call me Motorbike Mike, because that's a lot easier.
But his book Profit First
is phenomenal. If you haven't read it, pick it up. It's a great book to read, because you could use that same philosophy. And actually we did, Jimmy, we had 15% of our commission checks taken off the top, put into an AG Edwards account, and sat there until we were ready to buy an investment
and
property.
You would be amazed how you can learn to live off of 85% of your income.
Yeah, I didn't believe it, honestly, because Jimmy and I always say we had the DMD disease, which was that disappearing money disease. If money hit our little hot hands, poof, it was gone.
Yeah.
So if we can do it, we know you can do it also.
Key word to that is automatic.
Yeah.
Building the system where it automatically takes the money out, puts it into an account for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we just had our commissions 15% taken off the top. The title company took it away from us. So again, we're here talking about everything life and financial freedom. We're just average people. And so if you're average people who want to have an above average life, and you're really interested in freedom and of your time, money, and relationships, then we're the conversation for you. And if you know of anyone who would enjoy this conversation, be sure and pass our podcast along. If you have not, please hit the subscribe button. And the greatest compliment you can give Jim and I is to give us a 5-star review, so that we get ranked and people do hear about this podcast. We want to spread the message. We want to help people build wealth and change lives, really, honestly. Build the people that helped us understand the importance of building wealth, changed our life forever.
Nothing feels better than doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about financial freedom of your time, freedom of your money, and freedom of your relationships. And if you have a topic, a question, an obstacle, anything that you'd like to have us discuss on the podcast, be sure to reach out to us at info at Linda McKissack, and I'll be happy to add your topic to our podcast.
How do you spell McKissack?
Oh, good question. McKissack. Info at Linda McKissack, McKissack lindaMcKissack.com. And so, Jim, I see you all the time, but I'll very seldom see you in this podcast room with me. So I'll see you in this podcast room, I guess, next week.
Sounds great. See you
Awesome.
then.
See you then. Thanks for listening today. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this podcast with others. The greatest compliment you can give us is to leave a 5-star review. And please feel free to reach out to us at info@lindamckisack.com. We would love to hear from you about any ideas, topics, or guests to include on our podcast. So see you next time.